Good Tuesday morning, everyone, and welcome into today's daily Bible reading oh man, let's make sure we're still going here. Welcome into today's daily Bible reading for Tuesday, June the 20th. Today we are reading together. We're actually doing something we haven't done before. We're going to be doing a read through 3 chapters just because there is just not very much at all that I could talk about probably for any one of these chapters by themselves. So we're just going to combine these 3 chapters since they are pertaining to the same subject matter of the land being divided up among the remaining Israelite tribes. So we're going to read through Joshua chapter 17, 18, and 19 today, have just a few comments, and then carry on with our day. What we're seeing here is a little bit different because, again, my laptop is at the laptop doctor's office getting some repair done. So I'm doing this on my iPad. I hope this is going to turn out well. I guess today is going to be the guinea pig run to see if this is something that I can keep doing or if I need to figure out something else to do in the meantime until I get the laptop back. But nonetheless, let's go ahead and get reading today in Joshua chapter 17, Joshua chapter 18, and Joshua chapter 19. Make sure that this is all working okay. It's going to look a little funny playing back probably. All right, there's that. There's that. Let's see here. All right, I think we're good. Let me go ahead and scroll up to chapter 17. There we go. I'm not quite sure where hopefully the little screen's still showing up here. But let's go and get reading here in Joshua chapter 17. Joshua 17, verse number 1. This was the allotment for the tribe of Manasseh as Joseph's firstborn. Gilead and Bashan were given to Machir, the firstborn of Manasseh and the father of Gilead, because he was a man of war. So the allotment was for the rest of Manasseh's descendants by their clans, for the sons of Abiezer, Helek, Azriel, Shechem, Hefer, and Shemitah. These are the male descendants of the Manasseh, son of Joseph, by their clans. Now Zelophehad, son of Hefer, son of Gilead, son of Machir, son of Manasseh, had no sons, only daughters. And these are the names of his daughters: Mahlah, Noah, Hoglah, Milcah, and Tirzah. They came before the priest Eleazar, Joshua, son of Nun, and the leaders, saying, Yahweh commanded Moses to give us an inheritance among our relatives. So they gave them an inheritance among their father's brothers, in keeping with Yahweh's instructions. As a result, 10 tracts fell to Manasseh, besides the land of Gilead and Bashan, which are beyond the Jordan, because Manasseh's daughters received an inheritance among his sons. The land of Gilead belonged to the rest of Manasseh's sons. The border of Manasseh went from Asher to Mathoth near Shechem, and it then went southward toward the inhabitants of En Tappuah. The region of Tappuah belonged to Manasseh, but Tappuah itself on Manasseh's border belonged to the descendants of Ephraim. From there, the border descended to the brook of Kanah. South of the brook, cities belonged to Ephraim among Manasseh's cities. Manasseh's border was on the north side of the brook and ended at the Mediterranean Sea. Ephraim's territory was to the south and Manasseh's to the north, with the sea as its border. Asher on the north and Issachar on the east. Within Issachar and Asher, Manasseh had Beth Shean, Laim, and the inhabitants of Dor with their surrounding villages. The inhabitants of Endor, Ta'anak, and Megiddo to the 3 cities of Nephath with their surrounding villages. The descendants of Manasseh could not dispossess these cities because the Canaanites were determined to stay in this land. However, when the Israelites grew stronger, they imposed forced labor on the Canaanites, but did not drive them out completely. Joseph's descendants, so this would be the descendants of both Ephraim and Manasseh, Joseph's descendants said to Joshua, why did you give us only one tribal allotment as our inheritance, or as an inheritance? We have many people because Yahweh has been blessing us greatly. If you have so many people, Joshua replied to them, go to the forest and clear an area for yourselves there in the land of the Perizzites and the Rephaim, because Ephraim's hill country is too small for you. But the descendants of Joseph said, the hill country is not enough for us. And all the Canaanites who inhabit the valley area have iron chariots, both at Beth Shean with its surrounding villages and in the Jezreel Valley. So Joshua replied to Joseph's family, that is Ephraim and Manasseh, you have many people and great strength. You will not have just one allotment, because the hill country will be yours also. It is a forest. Clear it, and the outlying areas will be yours. You can also drive out the Canaanites, even though they have iron chariots and are strong. The entire Israelite community assembled at Shiloh and set up the tent of meeting there. The land had been subdued before them, but the 7 tribes among the Israelites were left who had not divided up their inheritance. So Joshua asked the Israelites, how long will you delay going out to take possession of the land that Yahweh, the God of your ancestors, gave you? Appoint for yourselves 3 men from each tribe, and I will send them out. They are to go and survey the land, write a description of it for the purpose of their inheritance, and return to me. Then they are to divide it into 7 portions. Judah is to remain in its territory in the south, and Joseph's family in their territory in the north. When you have written a description of the 7 portions of land and brought it to me, I will cast lots for you there, or for you here, in the presence of Yahweh our God. But the Levites among you do not get a portion, because their inheritance is the priesthood of Yahweh. Gad, Reuben, and the half tribe of Manasseh have taken their inheritance beyond the Jordan to the east, which Moses, Yahweh's servant, gave them. As the men prepared to go, Joshua commanded them to write down a description of the land, saying, go and survey the land. Write a description of it and return to me. I will cast lots for you here in Shiloh in the presence of Yahweh. So the men left, went through the land, and described it by towns in a document of 7 sections. They returned to Joshua at the camp in Shiloh. Joshua cast lots for them at Shiloh in the presence of Yahweh, where he distributed the land to the Israelites according to their divisions. The lot came up for the tribe of Benjamin's descendants by their clans, and their allotted territory lay between Judah's descendants and Joseph's descendants. Their border on the north side began at the Jordan, ascended to the slope of Jericho on the north, through the hill country westward, and ended at the wilderness around Beth Aven. From there, the border went toward Luz. In the southern slope of Luz, that is Bethel, it went down by Atoroth Adar, over the hill south of lower Beth Horon. On the west side, from the hill facing Beth Horon on the south, the border curved, turning southward, and ended at Kiriath Baal, that is Kiriath Jearim, a city of the descendants of Judah. This was the west side of their border. The south side began at the edge of Kiriath Jearim, and the border extended westward. It went to the spring of the waters of Nephtoah. The border descended to the foot of the hill that faces Ben Hinnom Valley at the northern end of Rephaim Valley. It ran down Hinnom Valley toward the south, Jebusite slope, and downward to En Rogel. It curved northward and went to En Shemesh and on to Geliloth, which is opposite the ascent of Adumim, and continued down to the stone of Bahan, son of Reuben. Then it went north to the slope opposite the Arabah and proceeded into the plains. The border continued to the north slope of Beth Hoglah and ended at the northern bay of the Dead Sea at the southern end of the Jordan. This was the southern border. The Jordan formed the border on the east side. If only they were all the sides were that simple as verse 20. This was the inheritance of Benjamin's descendants by their clans according to the surrounding borders. Verse 21, these were the cities of the tribe of Benjamin's descendants by their clans: Jericho, Beth Hoglah, Emek Keziz, Beth Arabah, Zemarim, Bethel, Avim, Parah, Ophrah, Shephar, Anomai, Ophni, and Geba, 12 cities with their settlements: Gibeon, Ramah, Beeroth, Mezpah, Shephirah, Mozah, Rechem, Urpiel, Ta'arlah, Zela, Haileth, Jebus, that is Jerusalem, Gebiah, and Kiriath. 14 cities with their descendants. This was the inheritance for Benjamin's descendants by their clans. The second lot came out for Simeon, for the tribe of his descendants by their clans, but their inheritance was within the inheritance given to Judah's descendants. Their inheritance included Beersheba, Moladah, Hazar Shul, Bala, Azem, El-Tolad, Bethul, Hormah, Ziklag, Beth Markobath, Hazar Susa, Beth Lebaoth, and Sharvin, 13 cities with their settlements. Ain, Rimmon, Ether, and Ashan, 4 cities with their settlements, and all the settlements surrounding these cities as far as Baalath Beir, Ramah in the south. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Simeon's descendants by their clans. The inheritance of Simeon's descendants was within the territory of Judah's descendants because the share for Judah's descendants was too large. So Simeon's descendants received an inheritance within Judah's portion. The third lot came up for Zebulun's descendants by their clans. The territory of their inheritance stretched as far as Sarid. Their border went up westward to Ma'alah, reached Dabasheth, and met the brook east of Jokneam. From Sarid, it turned due east along the border of Chisloth Tabor, went to Dabaroth, and went up to Japhia. From there, it went due east to Gath Hefer and to Eth Kazin. It extended to Rimmon, carving around to Nea. The border then circled from Nea to the north to Hanathon and ended at the Iftah El Valley, along with Kataf, Nahalal, Shimron, Idalah, and Bethlehem, 12 cities with their settlements. This was the inheritance of Zebulun's descendants by their clans, these cities and their settlements. The fourth lot came to the tribe of Issachar's descendants by their clans. Their territory went to Jezreel and included Chesuloth, Shunem, Hapharaim, Shion, Anaharath, Rabith, Kishion, Ebez, Remeth, In Ganim, In Hadah, and Beth Hazez. The border reached Tabor, Shahaz Umah, and Beth Shemesh, and ended at the Jordan, 16 cities with their settlements. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Issachar's descendants by their clans, the cities with their settlements. The fifth lot came out for the tribe of Asher's descendants by their clans. Their territory included Helkath, Hali, Betin, Akshaf, Shaf, Alam Elek, Ahmad, and Mishal, and reached westward to Carmel and Shihor Libnath. It turned eastward to Beth Dagon, reached Zebulun and Iftah El Valley, north toward Beth Emek and Niel, and went north to Kabul, Hebron, Rehob, Hamon, and Kana as far as Greater Sidon. And the boundary then turned to Ramah as far as the fortified city of Tyre. It turned back to Hosa and ended at the Mediterranean Sea, including Mahalav, Akziv, Umah, Aphek, and Rehob, 22 cities with their settlements. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Asher's descendants by their clans, these cities with their settlements. The sixth lot came out for Naphtali's descendants by their clans. Their boundary went from Heleph and from the oak of Za'anim, including Adamai Nekeb and Job Neel, as far as Lakum, and ended at the Jordan. To the west, the boundary turned to Aznoth Tabor and went from there to Hakok, reaching Zebulun on the south, Asher on the west, and Judah at the Jordan on the east. The fortified cities were Ziddim, Zur, Hamath, Rakath, Chinnereth, Adamah, Ramah, Hazor, Kedesh, Edrei, En Hazor, Eron, Migdal El, Horem, Bethanath, and Beth Shemesh, 19 cities with their settlements. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Naphtali's descendants by their clans, the cities with their settlements. The seventh lot came out for the tribe of Dan's descendants by their clans. The territory of their inheritance included Zorah, Eshtaol, Shemesh, Sha'ala, Labin, Aijalon, Ithla, Elon, Timnah, Ekron, El Teka, Gibeathon, Baalath, Jehud, Bene Barak, Gath Rimon, Me Jarkon, and Rakon, with the territory facing Joppa. Then the territory of the descendants of Dan slipped out of their control. They went up and fought against Lashem, captured it, and struck it down with a sword. So they took possession of it, lived there, and renamed Lashem after their ancestor Dan. This was the inheritance of the tribe of Dan's descendants by their clans, these cities with their settlements. When they finished distributing the land into territories, the Israelites gave Joshua, son of Nun, the inheritance among them. By Yahweh's command, they gave him the city of Timnath Serah in the hill country of Ephraim, which he requested. He rebuilt the city and lived in it. These were the portions that the priest Eleazar, Joshua, son of Nun, and the family heads distributed to the Israelite tribes by lot at Shiloh in Yahweh's presence at the entrance to the tent of meeting. So they finished dividing up the land. All right. So that is Joshua 17, 18, and 19. Joshua 17, 18, 19. A lot that we see here within these texts, but only a few things that we are going to address specifically in this. Number one, we unfortunately see a number of instances where the people failed to follow through completely on the command to conduct herem, to completely destroy or to completely expel, to completely dispossess the people. We see a failure of that on the part of the tribe of Manasseh in chapter 17 and verse 12 and 13, where they could not possess the cities because the Canaanites were determined to stay in the land. But it does give the note that when the Israelites grew stronger, they imposed not dispossessing the land, but they imposed forced labor on the Canaanites, but did not drive them out completely. That's a failure. They did not do as Yahweh commanded them to do. We see fear on the part of the descendants of Joseph, of Ephraim and Manasseh, saying that, well, we cannot take the land because they have iron chariots. This is a portion of verses 14 through the end of chapter 17, where they come to Joshua and they say, listen, we need more land than what you have given us. There's a lot of us. Yahweh has blessed us abundantly. So Joshua says, okay, well, if there are so many of you, then hey, why don't you go to this portion of the land that's covered in forest, knock down the trees and take possession of that. The Perizzites and the Rephaim are there, but you can still take it. And they say, oh no, we can't do that. They have iron chariots, both at Beth Shean and the surrounding villages in the Jezreel Valley. We cannot overtake them. But Joshua rebuts to this complaint and this fear on their part and says, no, you can go, you can take this, you can drive out the Israelites, even though they have iron chariots and are strong. And the reason for that, of course, is because Yahweh would be with them. Put your confidence in Yahweh. Do exactly what we've seen all throughout this text, to be strong and courageous. And if you will do that, you will be able to take the land. Do not have fear. So we see that there. We also see at the end of chapter 19, where the territory for Dan ends up slipping out of their control. This is a historical fact in the future. It's not at the time that these things are being done, but when this text is written, this is noted later on, or it might even have been edited sometime along the way in the compiling of this writing of Joshua. Again, I wholly believe that the Holy Spirit would be involved in all of the formulating of these writings. But we do read in Judges 134 about the slipping, and then we see just some issues concerning Dan later on in Judges chapter 17, 18. Really, a lot of what we see here within the text of the conquest and where these failures take place, again, they're planting the seeds for many of the issues that are going to be present with Israel in the land in Judges. So because they did not completely follow through in complete obedience and full obedience to what Yahweh had commanded, they're going to end up running into a number of issues. But we'll finish by just looking at what we see in chapter 18. One issue that we see here in 18 is that though 5 of the tribes have received their inheritance, Reuben, Gad, Manasseh, Ephraim, and Levi. Again, Levi, their inheritance is Yahweh. They're going to be given, I think, 48 cities. But as far as a full land for themselves, they're not going to receive that. Though they had received their inheritance, though these 5 tribes, there were 7 that had not yet done the work to lay claim to the land. How long will you delay going out to take possession of the land that Yahweh your God, or Yahweh the God of your fathers, gave you? So it seems that they're not stepping up, these 7 tribes: Benjamin, Simeon, Zebulun, Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and Dan. They're not stepping up to take the land. Why is that? Why is it that they're not immediately upon the success of these other tribes going and taking the land for themselves? I don't really know the answer for that. Maybe they're just being kind of content and lazy at the moment, but they really need to take advantage of the momentum that the tribes have at this time, where the people do have a great fear of Yahweh and they can go in and take possession of the land. They need to go and do that. So Joshua tells them, we're going to have kind of a second go round of the 12 spies, although the missions a bit different here. Instead of going out and scouting out the land as they did back in Numbers, I believe it was, what you're going to be doing here is you're just going to be going and kind of mapping out the land. I'm not exactly sure how to understand exactly what's going on here. I don't know if they're going out and they're supposed to survey the land and find 7 different portions of the land that can be standalone portions. I don't know if that's exactly what they're doing or what the deal is. But they're all to go out there, 3 men from each tribe. So I'm assuming this is 21 total. If it's just the 7 tribes going out, that'd be 21. Of course, if it's all 12, then we're looking at what, 36? 36, is that right? Yeah, 36. I'm going to go with 21 men here. That's the 21 from the rest of the tribes that have not yet had their land. They're going to go and they're going to survey the land. They're going to write description of the land. Again, it seems to me like they're laying out themselves borders. And then what Joshua says is, when you get back, I'm going to draw lots. And you're going to get to, again, I'm trying to understand what's going on here. Maybe you have a different take on this, and please feel free to leave that in the comments section. But it seems like they're going to draw lots to see who gets the pick of where they want to be. That seems to be what's going on here. I could be wrong, but that seems to be the case. Or it could be, now that I'm thinking of it, it could be that they are mapping out. Actually, no, take it back. That doesn't, what I just thought right now, it doesn't work. But here's the thing. What he talks about in the drawing of lots, it always mentions here that it is in Yahweh's presence. And the idea here is that Yahweh is directing the lots being drawn here. So it's not just purely up to chance. It's the fact that Yahweh is going to be with them in this process. So going through this, then we see Benjamin drawn first, then Simeon, Zebulun, Issachar, Asher, Naphtali, and Dan. And all of these individuals are given these various portions of land. And then finally, waiting until the end, we see Joshua getting his portion, which that just seems to be an act of humility on his part. He was a leader. He's a leader of this people. I'm sure there'd be many men who would say, well, I'm the leader, so I should get first dibs. But that doesn't seem to be Joshua's, the way he operated at all. No, he was a humble man. He was a good leader, so he waited till the end and then received his inheritance for himself. So at this portion now, we have all of the people receiving the various portions of the land that turn into what we're about to see. I'm going to see, we're going on the fly here again, we're going to see if we can get the map up really quick here. Let's see here. Let's see. Oh, let's see. All right, there's that right there. Study notes from this one. There we go. I do not need a tutorial. Thank you very much, though. I'm going to go up here. Here, the map should be right up here. So there we go. So there is our map. Hopefully, this is showing up well for you on the screen. So this is our map. Oh, well, I can even zoom in right here, even better. So what we've seen so far is, again, this western side. This is great. I wish I did this part on my laptop. We have the eastern side of the tribes on the eastern side of the Jordan. We have Manasseh at the top. We have Gad in the middle, and then Reuben there at the bottom. And then so far we've seen where Judah received his portion, and then Ephraim and the West Manasseh received their portion. And then we go from there, and we have Benjamin receiving its portion. This orange part there at the bottom, there's Benjamin's portion. Then we have Simeon receiving his portion. Yeah, Simeon's in the middle of Judah because they said Judah has too much land, so Simeon takes some of that. Then we have Zebulun going to receive their land. Issachar in that tealish color. Asher, which is going to be the green color. You might have heard Tyre mentioned there. Hopefully, if you know your biblical geography well, you knew this was going to be in the upper northwestern portion. Then we have Naphtali in that yellowish orange color. And then finally, we have Dan over here in this dark orange color. So there we have then the 12 tribes of Israel, really 13 specific sections that are here. Let me double check that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Yeah, 13 sections, but 12 tribes really because Manasseh, remember, is cut in half. Joshua has 2 sons, which takes his place and Levi's place. So that's what we have here then. This particular section of the text. We have them receiving their boundaries, receiving their borders, and being able to settle in now and really begin to settle in with the land and be able to make it the home that Yahweh desired for it to be. So if you have any questions about this text here in chapter 17, 18, 19, please feel free to leave that in the comment section below, whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube. And I really do appreciate so much you reading with me today. I know a longer section than normal, but I hope that will help us kind of keep like chapters together. And I hope that doing this on the iPad hasn't been too much of an issue as well. We're going to see what happens once I get off of here to try to get that uploaded, how easily that will be. So things do look a little different. I do apologize, but hopefully I'll get the laptop back sooner than later, and we can get back to our regularly, I won't say scheduled programming because we're still doing our reads, but hopefully it'll be as smooth as it normally is. Again, thanks so much for tuning in today. And before I forget, let me make sure that we all are aware of Gloria Hope's birthday yesterday. I failed to mention that, but put that in the post. And also today is Jackson's birthday. Happy birthday to you, Jackson. Have a couple of other birthdays coming up this week as well. So be on the lookout for those. Make sure we can wish our fellow church family members happy birthday. Again, thanks so much for tuning in today. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, everyone. Take care, and God bless.